Very good morning, guys. Okay. So last day we just been discussing about what I was explaining in the last session, like how to work with your XML. Sorry, how to just call your web service, your web API using jQuery. Web API using jQuery. That's what exactly I shown you in the previous class. And to do that, all of you, we just used $.ajax. Ajax calling is what we have done. $.ajax method. And this $.ajax method, when you just try to call the $.ajax method, what happens? It is just going to call the API. When you're calling it, you can just put up your things like a get up, post. You can tell that clearly whether you want to perform a get request, whether you want to perform a post request, is what exactly you need to do. Fine. Fine. So in this process, last session, we have just been API service. Okay. So where are we left out? Where is it? Controller. Use index.css. Okay, fine. Yeah, we just been still, what are the pending, guys? The pending thing is we required to write the code for, we completed get customer, correct? So get customers is finished, get customer is also finished. What next? The next thing is going to be add customer, correct? Let's add an add customer. Okay. Function add customer. Okay. And guys, the code of calling, I said you, it is going to be very similar. Let me copy this. Let me copy this as it is. Paste it. Okay. Now concentrate on this. URL is same. But when you come to the type, change it as post. Clear. So the type of request what you're sending is a post request. Data type, JSON. Data type is JSON. And another important thing is you're required to pass the input to data. Remember yesterday for get customer, I passed the data. How did I pass the data? Data, I passed this value. But here what you need to pass? One value or four values? Four values. What are the four? Customer ID, name, balance, city. Status will have default value true there. But otherwise you're required to pass four values here. What you need to pass is four values in the place. Okay? The four values are what you just required to pass there. How do you pass? Actually, to pass all these things here, we have an option. What is that here? Watch it here. Data, colon, dollar, the form name. What is the form name? Hash, FRM, forgot. Form name. FRM, customer. FRM customer dot, there is a direct method called as serialize. There is a method called as serialize. What this method will do, you know, the method will convert this particular data into an object and sends to the server. There is a concept called as serialization and deserialization. So basically serialization is a process of converting from one format to the other format. From source to destination. Deserialization is converting from destination to source. So it is just going to serialize the content of the form, and what it will do, you know, it will pick all the data and converts into JSON format and sends to the server. Why JSON format? Because the data type is JSON. Converts into JSON and sends to the server. How will it send, you know? Name is the key. The value what you entered is the value. Balance is the key. The value what you entered is the value. Array JSON, how do you pass JSON? Last class is only your curly braces key value combination now. So this serialize method will serialize the data into JSON format and sends to the server. Are you clear? And if it is success, what to do? Reload the data. If it is success, what to do? Reload the data. So I'm calling a method here called clear and load. What is this clear and load? I'm going to write, guys. Clear and load. If it is success, clear and load. Error, display error. Are you clear? I need to write that method. I'll write it. I did not change anything, guys. What I changed is data type. And what I newly added is data. Last class, data is picked only from the text box. But today, data is picked from the form. The whole form. How many controls are there in the form? All the data will be sent off to the server. That is the reason why here the control names are used exactly same as my property names in the model. The property names in the model and these names are same now. So because these names are same, automatically all these values will be going into the object vector. All the values will directly come into customer now, except status. And that status I'm updating here anyhow. No props. Okay, I put a breakpoint there. And is the code. We need to write one more thing. What is that? Clear and load. What is that clear and load? Just want to reload the data, guys. Want to reload the data. What data? All the data should be reloaded back again. Okay, let's write a function. Because the table should reflect your information. Function. What is the name? Clear and load. What I'm doing, once the insert is completed, I'm clearing all the text boxes. Once the insert is completed, I'm clearing all the text boxes. And guys, remember to clear all the text boxes yesterday. I said you the code. Trigger reset. The trigger reset will clear the form to you. So copy. Put it here. So first it will reset everything. Okay, what next? Now, the data should be reloaded. If you want to reload the data, you can directly call the method. Which method? Get customers. Yesterday we written get customers. Get customers method will load all the data. See, this is get customers. The get customers will load the data to you. Once the data loading is completed, I want to put the focus into the text box again. Dollar, what the text box name? Hash customer ID dot focus. Just 3 lines of code. First line will clear the form. Second line, what it will do? Reloads the customer's data. Third line, set the focus into the text box. Okay, so let us try, guys. Run. Entity exception, in a sense, it is an SQL server error here. Just to check it out. Are you using Windows authentication? If you are using Windows authentication, that is the problem. That might be the problem. Okay, 116 is the last record what we have. Correct? Okay, I'm just going to add 117. Okay. Balance some 25,000 and city Mumbai. Click on insert. When I click on insert, see it invoked the post method, see? And that one has sent you all that information here. Put your mouse here. Got it. Except status. Status is false. For that reason only now, here I'm setting the status as true now. So once the status is true, I'm removing the breakpoint just to show you. The status is true. Insert completed. Once insert completed, did you notice that? Form is cleared. And once the form is cleared, the data is reloaded. 117. Got it? Again. 118. Okay, 118. Stuart. Balance some 12,000. City Chennai. So click insert. This is cleared. This is load. Okay, now done. What next? What next? Update and delete. Yeah, that is the problem. Just enable SQL authentication. Windows authentication permissions problem is coming for you. Enable SQL authentication and do it. How to enable SQL authentication? Just Google app. You have a lot of articles online. How to enable SQL authentication? Just to check it out. Enable SQL authentication and work. Okay, guys. So we're done with insert. What next? Update and delete. How do you update? For update, first I need to load the data here. For update, first I need to load the data here. So 109 is a record. When you click on this, it has to load. Yesterday we written the code for this already. The data comes. Once the data comes, I want to change the data. I want to make it as 3,800. And click on update. When I click on update, the data should be automatically updated for me. That's what I want to do. So how do you write the code? Guys, understand, update code will be similar to insert code only. So let me copy the add customer function. Paste it here. What is the method name? Update customer. Update customer is the method now. And all this is same. But here, what do you need to change? Put data type is JSON. Again, send all the data to the server, serialize, because update also requires all information. Next, clear and load, error. What did you change here? Only that one you change it. Remaining all code is same. Same code only we write for here also. Here also we are going to write the same code. No difference at all. Okay. So run and verify. If you want to add breakpoints in your API, the callings will be happening for you behind the screen. So 109, get the data. 3800, update. Once updated, this is cleared and is updated, check it out, 3800. One more time. 102, Scott. 6500 is there. I want to make 6800. Click on update, 6800. Got it? And the beauty here is all these actions are getting performed without submitting the page to the server. We are not at all submitting the page to server. Okay, now, finally, what do you want to do? Delete. What is that? I want to delete the record 114. So I'll enter 114. I will get the data. I want to click on the delete. Should delete of the record. And deleting of the record will only change the status active to inactive. The status of this record will change from active to inactive. That's it. So lastly, one more method. Copy this. Delete customer. Delete customer is the method. Guys, before deleting, I want to take a confirmation from the user. Are you sure or not? Got it? So just let me do it. Where status is equals to confirm. I'm using the confirm dialog, asking what are you sure of deleting the current record? Are you sure of deleting the current record? What it returns you, true or false. And when this code should execute, the code should execute when it is true. So if status means if true, then all this code should be inside of this if condition. Means the call is inside of the if condition now. The call is inside of the if condition. It is going to be inside of the if condition. What next? Everything same. Only thing is data. When you come to data, you can pass the data. Last class I shown you how to pass the data. You remember? For get customer, I shown you how to pass the data. How to pass? This is how we can pass data. Another way you can pass. What is this? This will go as a data. Another way you can pass it is you can pass it like a query string. You can pass it like a query string also. Just like a query string also you can pass it. How? Just a minute. Here change to delete. Change to delete. Okay. So just remaining all are same. Clear and load, display, everything is same. Only thing is one way to pass the data is use the data. So one way to pass the data is you can pass it like a query string. Understood? One way to pass the data is we can pass the data like a query string. Second way is you can just use the data and pass. How to pass like a query string? Query string means will come here now. Slash. Okay. And you want to pass it as a route, not as a query string also. Route, slash value. How do you pass? Hold on. Okay. Slash. Sir. ఫ్యాన్ స్పీడ్ పెంచు, గాలి వేయట్లేదు అసలు, ఎందుకు తగ్గిస్తున్నారు? సార్ ఉండు, చాలా గట్టి సౌండ్ వచ్చేస్తుంది, చూడు ఒకసారి ఆగు. మరి ఆగింది ఇప్పుడు మరి. ఓకే, సో వాచ్ ఇట్. ఇఫ్ యూ జస్ట్ లుక్ అట్ దిస్ వన్, I need to pass the text box value here. Concatenation operator, then dollar, what? Hash, text box name. What is the text box name? Customer ID dot val. Customer ID dot val. Tiregatleda fan. Call run on J. Okay. So hash customer ID dot val. So this is how you can pass. This is one way you can pass. Or otherwise, I shown you other option. You can use data, and from there also we can just pass. Choice is yours. Anyway, you can just pass on the value. Okay, one is dollar. Yeah, one way is you can just use data and pass. Is the voice clear now? Is it clear? Okay. Okay. So understand, two ways to pass on the information. One is you can use a data attribute and pass. Otherwise, like single values can be passed with the routes here. Multiple values are there, then use data. Single value routes are okay. Just as I showed you, you can put a slash there and pass it as a route value. Multiple values are there, then use the data flag and pass the value. See, for add and for add customer and update customer, one value or multiple values? For add and update, one value or multiple values? Open the mouth, yaar. How many? When you're adding a customer, how many values you need to send to the server? One value. Brainless fellows, when you insert, you'll send one value. Body present and mind absent. Really irritating. You're irritating here. One value will pass for insert. Multiple values. So then use data. Serialize and send. But when you come for get and delete, one value only. What is that? Customer ID. So then you can use routes and pass the value. So how you are just going to pass it, you can just use the appropriate thing. Okay, so delete. Let's test this also. One 110. Select Sampath. Delete. So immediately it's asking you, are you sure? Yes, I am. See, change it 110 as inactive. 110 change it to inactive now. Okay, I want to delete 103. 103. So status is active, right? Delete. Are you sure? Yes, I am. Inactive. All this is a call what you are making through Ajax. Okay. Now guys, you called it from the same project. Ray, you tried calling it from the same project. Can I try calling this from a different project? Yes, I want to call from a new project. Understood my point? I want to call from a different project now. Okay, let's try. We'll do one thing. Let's create a new project. I named it as Web API Consumer 1. Web API Consumer 1. Create MVC project. Directly going for an MVC project, create. Okay, fine. Now let us just look into the project. Yeah, project got created. Now let's do one thing, guys. Let us add a just already we have a home controller here. Okay, just use an empty project. Just a second. Okay, install jQuery. Install jQuery in the project. Now add a controller in the project. Name it as home controller. Yeah, by default you have an index action method. Add a view. Add view. Do one thing, delete the content here, whole empty. Now go to your previous. Yeah, in the previous project we have index.chhtml. Just now written all the code now. Copy. Copy this, paste it as it is here. Are you clear? I not do anything, just I copied from there and I pasted it as it is here. As it is, the code was pasted here. The voice breaking still. It's clear now? Okay. So what did I do is I just copied. I copied from there and I pasted that information in this place. I copied and pasted the information in this place. As it is, it was copied. Am I audible now? Am I audible now? Okay. So what did I do? I have copied the content. I copied the content of index.cshtml from our previous project and pasted it as it is here. As it is, the content was pasted here. Nothing I done. As it is, I put it here. Run this. Yeah. How about now? Am I audible? Fine. If you guys look at this one, the data is not getting loaded. Remember, we written a method, display error. If the connectivity misses, the display error method gets called now. So the call failed. Because the call failed, the display, there is an error on the server, could not load the data. You can see there is a message what you are publishing in the display error. So if you come to display error code now, if you come to display error, what did I write? Sir, what is the problem? The problem is basically when we are making client-side calls to server, పోతుంది బ్రేక్ అయిపోతుంది. Am I audible? వాయిస్ తగ్గిపోయింది. హలో Am I audible? Audible now? Okay. Okay. When you are making client-side calls to server, using JavaScript or jQuery, we face a problem. Called as CORS. Stands for Cross Origin Resource Sharing. We face a problem called as CORS. What is that CORS? Cross Origin Resource Sharing. So what is cross origin resource sharing? Cross origin resource sharing in the sense, see, when you're trying to make a call within the server, means you understand, the client and server both are in the same domain. In the previous project, you understood client and server both are in the same domain now? Yes or not? Client and server are in the same domain, means the request went from the same domain, response came from the same domain. What I mean to say, watch. Run this page. See the URL. What is the URL? HTTP. This is the URL. Request went to where? Request went to API. Where is the API? Here is the API. Both are in the same domain, see? HTTP localhost web API service, HTTP localhost web API service. Both are same. Only thing is, this is a different controller and this is a different controller. But both are running on the same domain. But when you come here, when you come to our new project, what we created now, the new project, what we created now, where the data could not be loaded. See the domain. You're making a request from here to here. This is a separate, this is a separate domain and this is a separate domain. This is HTTP localhost running on a different location. This is simply here, you're running this on IES Express and you're running this on IES. Even if I run in IES also, problem will come. Why? A new virtual directory will be there. Not the same virtual directory, na. Domain changes now. So automatically problem will come. If you want, I'll show you like that also. Why we use window dollar? Window dollar alert is a message box. Dialog box. Where I use the dialog box? I never use the dialog box anywhere. Every time to display alert messages, I used window.alert only. No dialog box was used. Shall we host this project on IES? If that is the case, first open your open it in admin mode. Web API consumer. Now host it on IES. Right click. Add. Sorry. Properties. Web. Local IES. Create virtual directory. Create the virtual directory. Okay, now it is running on IES. Because running on IES, now also problem will come. Both are running on IES, but two separate virtual directories. So treated like two separate domains. Both are two separate virtual directories, so treated as two separate domains now. Enable. What happened to this? Open is error occurred because an error configuration changes have an occurred that requires an update of your application codes. IIS reset or both. You can reset IIS by opening the elevated command and type IIS reset. No need here. Asking to reset IIS, that's all. System ID. Okay. Now I'm just trying to run this. I'm trying to run this, but I just got my output. Okay. I got my output here. Say, just have a look. I got my output here. Where the request is going from? Web API consumer 1 to Web API service. Luckily, both these two running on the same server. Both these two are running on the same server. What is the server? Localhost. Localhost means local machine. Both are running from the same server. Never face a problem. But tomorrow, will this happen the same in the real time? Will both run onto the same server? Will a client who is calling, suppose tomorrow a shopping cart application want to call a bank API, both will run on same server. Huh? They are running on two separate servers. They are running on two separate servers. If you want to understand that running on two separate servers, run on IS Express. If you run on IS Express, then you can understand correctly. There are two separate servers. One is IS Express and one is IS. So here, if at all you observe, because both are under the same server, I got the output. Because both are under the same server, I'm just getting the appropriate outputs. But if they are trying to run for you under two separate servers or two separate domains, compulsory this problem will come. Compulsory this problem will come. Now no error came now. Now I'll try to run this on a different server. I'll try to run this on a different server. How do you run? Nothing here. I'll run on IS Express there. That's all. I'll run on IS Express. Now if you're running on IS Express means that's a different server. When because it's a different server, you get error now. Yeah, what is the error? Could not load the data. It could not load the data. How to see the error? Right click, go to inspect, go to inspect. And in the inspect, go to console. A window opens, go to console. You get an error. Access to HTML request, something from origin has been blocked by CORS policy. Understand the origins are different. See, one is HTTP localhost web API service, and second one is HTTP localhost 62894. These two are completely two separate servers. Even though both are on the same machine, these two are two separate. In the real time, no two applications run on the same server. They'll be running on different servers, different domains. If this happens, immediately you will get an error. What error? CORS. You will get an error called as CORS error. Stands for cross origin resource sharing. Cross origin resource sharing. This is a problem what you have. I repeat again, when we are making client side calls to server using JavaScript or jQuery, we face a problem called as CORS. Okay, see, if client and server are running under the same domain, then there is no problem. Both are running under the same domain, then there is no problem. Whereas if the client and server are running under different domains, then CORS error will come into picture. CORS error will come into picture. What is that? By default, the CORS policy will not allow a public calling like this. Will not allow a public calling, like publicly you cannot call it like this. Then what to do? What to do? Server should enable the CORS policy. Server should enable the CORS policy. Now we need to enable the CORS policy on the server. So once you enable the CORS policy on the server, this action works. See, after writing all the code, run the project, but we will not get the output because of CORS. That is, by default, for security reasons, browser restricts cross-origin HTTP request initiated through scripts. And to resolve the problem, we need to enable CORS in our Web API Service project. Where Web API Service project means the server project. So that it lets web applications running in one origin to access resources from a server at a different origin. From one origin to another origin calling will be possible. But how to enable this CORS, sir? If at all you want to enable the CORS, where you require to enable server application or client application? Where you require to enable CORS, server or client? Server. If server enables CORS, client can access it. Client enables, what is the use here? How can client control the server? Client cannot control the server. So everything should be done on the server level, then that applies to client. So in the server project, first you require to install the package, the NuGet package. So let me take to the server project. This is my server project, Web API service. Go to NuGet package manager. Search for this package contains the component to enable CORS in Asp.NET Web API. In Asp.NET Web API, you can enable CORS by using this one. Select it, click install. Loading, guys. Yeah. Accept. Okay. So the first thing is you require to install the CORS API in your project. Now, I want to enable the CORS. I want to enable the CORS. When you're enabling this CORS, you have an option. You want to enable it only for a particular API controller, or you want to enable for all the API controllers in the project. Did you get my point? In a project, in our project, we have two API controllers now. One is a test controller, one is customer controller. Test controller dealing with colors, customer controller dealing with customers. So how many API controllers are there? Two. To enable CORS, if at all you want to enable CORS, one option is you can enable for a particular API controller. You can enable it to a particular API controller class. API controller, or you can enable it for all in the project also. Okay. You want to enable to a particular API controller class. We can just do it in one way and all another way. Okay. How to do that? I'll show you. Watch. If at all you just want to do it for a particular API controller. Okay. So go to the class now. What class? Customer controller class. Okay. Go to customer controller class. Come on. Let me open the customer controller class. Yeah, this is the customer controller class. Import the namespace first. What? Microsoft dot. What is that? Asp. Sorry. Microsoft dot web dot system dot. It is system dot. System dot web dot http dot CORS. That is the namespace. System dot web dot http dot CORS is the namespace. After importing the namespace, on the top of the class, we can use an attribute, just like we use the filter attributes now. Same way, enable CORS. Enable CORS. Actually, it requires three parameters here. Three parameters. The first parameter is origins. The first parameter is origins. Second parameter is headers. Third parameter is methods. What is that? First parameter is origins. Second parameter is headers. Third parameter is methods. What is this origins first? Let me tell you. What is the origin? You want to give this public to everyone, or you want to give this access only to a particular domain? I want to give my API access only to the request coming from naresheti.com. I want to give access for my API only for the requests that are coming from naresheti.com. I can tell the domain now. What is that? HTTP naresheti.com. The permission is given only for the request coming from naresheti.com. If more are there, you can put a comma and write. I want to give access to the request coming from google.com also. HTTPS Google Doc. Did you understand that? No, I want to give it access to everyone. I want to give access to everyone. Star. Star indicates everyone. If you want to give access to particular, specify the name there. Okay. Second. What is second one? Headers. What headers? Means if the request is going to be, if the header, in the header, if the request is for a JSON, then only provide access. If you're requesting for XML, don't give access. A header, accept, I showed you on the day, remember, accept JSON. That is called as a header. That is called as a header. So if the request comes from that header only, pass the value. If the request is not coming from that header, don't pass the value. No, I don't have any restriction irrespective of the header. For anyone I want to give an access. Then I can say star. Methods. What methods you want to give access? I want to give access only to get method, post method, delete method. I don't want to give access to put method. Are you clear? Now I want to give access to all the methods. Then star. So understood, first one is origins. Second one, headers. What headers? Okay, accept header. Like this, whatever headers you have, you can just use them. Third option is methods. What methods? Get method, post method, delete method. What methods? I want to give access to all origins. I want to give access to all headers. And I want to give access to all methods. This is the thing what you're required to do. Okay. After doing all these particular things, just go to the web API config once, the web API config. And in the web API config, write down config dot enable CORS. I'm not sure, Vishal. Try using multiple times with the different domains. I'm not sure. Means enable CORS, one domain, different methods, another domain, different methods. Try like that. Did you understand? Right? Enable CORS for multiple times now and try using. I'm not sure. I never got this doubt or never tried it. So just do some R&D on it. Yeah, the next step is what? Go to web API config and they're called config dot enable CORS. So first step, install CORS in your project. Second step, import the CORS namespace and on the top of the class write enable CORS. Third step, come to web API config and write config dot enable CORS. Okay. Now, after doing all these changes, you're enabling the CORS policy. Once build your project. Okay, now run the client application. Loads here, loads. No error came. Earlier, if there is any problem, error came. Actually, it will take time to load, that's all. It loaded. Earlier, immediately loaded. You're running in same domain. Now you're running from different domains. Request should go from one place to another place. You understood now? How earlier, how did you design your applications, you know? Earlier, your applications are like this. If you sending a request to MVC controller and which is going to talk to model and that is going to load the data from database. Till last week. Today what you done, you know? If you sending a request to MVC controller is now sending a request to web API controller that is going to contact the model and getting the data from the database. Did you understand or not? Earlier, all these are on the same project. Today, These two are in one project and these are in another project. Understood or not? That's what. This is Sunday explained you this one. This is the shopping cart application now. This one, bank server. Now the shopping cart application will contact the bank server. It will connect to the database and sends you the data. Your MVC controller cannot talk directly with the bank database. Point clearer? So that is how the communication now. My MVC controller is sending the request to Web API controller. Web API controller is now contacting the model, and from there it is just going to get the database. Now these are like public APIs. Yes, they're all public APIs because we're just given a public access star. That's a public API. Guys, using this API only, we can enable Google authentication, Facebook authentications in our applications. I'll show you in MVC core. I'll show you in MVC core. One more session we have, guys. Once we complete, today is Wednesday, Thursday. Friday we'll start with MVC core. Friday we'll start with core. We are just going to start with core from Friday. In core, I'll show you something new, not the same thing. Same control. I don't want to show you all this, but controller creation, all these things. What is new, we'll try to understand. I want to change URI of API instead of localhost. I already explained it, how to change this. Sai Kumar, I already explained you how to change it. Read your notes working with IES in the earlier classes. Localhost, how to change the domain name I shown you, remember? Or I want to give the name as something like naresheti.com or mysite.com. I explained it already. Okay. So now what we have done, we enabled CORS, controller level. We enabled CORS, controller level. Once we enabled CORS, controller level, that applies to that controller only. But tomorrow we have one more controller in our project. What is the second controller? Test controller. Test controller again problem only now. And again test controller cannot be accessed because access is given only for home controller, not to test controller. If you want to enable CORS for all the controllers in the project, what you do? Application level now. So what to do? Remove enable CORS on the top of the class. Remove enable CORS on the top of the class. Now go to API config. How did you write in API config? Config.enable CORS, right? Just a minute here. There is a class called as enable CORS attribute. There is a class called as enable CORS attribute. Create the instance of it. Obj is equals to new enable CORS attribute. This also takes the same three parameters. See, origins, headers, methods. Pass what? Star. Come here and pass obj. This is how you need to enable application level. If you want to enable application level, only two steps. What are the two steps? First step, install CORS. Second step, come to Web API config. Create the instance of. It works like a filter, yeah. Nothing but a filter only. It is a filter. Enable CORS attribute filter. Okay. That one. Config.enable CORS obj. Earlier, what did you write? Config.enable CORS, but now config.enable CORS obj. So this enable CORS attribute inherits from attribute class. It basically inherits from a attribute class. They are nothing but filters only. These are all nothing but the filters only. It all works like filters only. That's why we are applying this on the top of the class. This is application level. So now the permission is given only for customer controller, both customer and test controller. Both customer and test controller. If I write on the top of the class only for that controller, but if I write here all API controllers in the project. Now also, once you can build your project, guys, once you make changes in the API, build it. Why? That is hosted on IESCR. If you build only, the changes will be reflected. If you build only, the changes will be reflected. Now come back to the consumer project, run it. Consumer project should run as it is now. No difference. Yes, Rameshwar. Same. Course error will come in all places when you try to make a cross origin calls. You have this particular problem in jQuery you'll face in all places. But how to enable in web applications, I'm not sure. Just Google it. Vishal, I already answered your question. Earlier only you asked me, I said you. Try to use multiple, I never tried it. Try it out, I said. Again, you're asking the same question. Multiple times use enable cores and check it out. I'm not sure whether that option is available or not. What you'll do is, when you're creating the instances here, so the question is like, sir, for one domain I want to give get and set access, for one domain I want to get put and delete access, what should I do? I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. Try to do enable cores, here use one domain and whatever methods you want to call. Same way create one more instance of the class, another domain and different. Try like that. I'm not sure, but never I worked out like that because I never tried it like that. I never got the doubt. So just give a try. I too also will try, you to give a try. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, now again you got the access. See the cross origin is working. Okay, now insert, update, delete all actions select. I want to delete 106. 106. Get request. Get request is working. Delete. Are you sure? Yes, I am. Delete. So cross origin calls working or not? Yeah, these are all client calls here. They're all client calls. So one way of calling is client side calling. But actually, guys, in this, we are making call by using jQuery or something. Means two different ways industry uses APIs. Two different ways industry uses APIs. One way how they use API is client calls like this using Ajax. Second way how they use API is server calls. Means MVC. I will call from MVC controller. Here we are not calling from MVC controller. We are calling from Ajax calls. These are Ajax calls. Directly from the client only. The call is sent background. No, not like MVC. Basically, we are building an application here. We are building an application in the industry now. So right now we are working up with these APIs only. We are just working up with these APIs only. So when you're working up with these particular APIs means we have third-party APIs what we are calling in our application. SAP gives us APIs. You know SAP now? SAP provides us APIs and we are going to consume that APIs in our application for performing some database calls and all. So the APIs are given for us by SAP and we consume those APIs in our application. Okay, and our application is fully an MVC application and we just make an MVC calling. It can be a web forms application also or it can be an MVC application also. When you are making a server to server call, course policy will not come into action. When you are making a server to server call, course policy will not come into picture. Call policy comes only from client side call, not from server side call. Server side calls will not have a course policy. Only client side calls will have a course policy. So you can call from an MVC application also without using Ajax and jQuery. That means architectures will be different. Architectures will be different. I'll tell you. Recently, I developed one MVC project in my application in my company. It's a sudden requirement from the company. Overnight, they want this. Friday evening, we got the requirement from the client. By Monday, it should be ready. Monday, it should be ready. It happened exactly 3 weeks back. They said it. Saturday, Sunday, whole day, Saturday, after completing your class, when I went home, I started sitting on that, worked a lot on that for 2 days continuously and built up the project. So in that, we have insert operations, update operations, delete operations and all. In that, guys, in insert operation, I made a server-side call to the API. There are APIs again. So in update operation, the requirement is update operation. There are so many records, 1,000 records there in a tabular format. Every record has a update, edit operation. When you click on edit, that edits, and I need to update it. So there, we did not make a server-side call. If you make a server-side call, again, the page will be completely reloaded. So for that reason, there we went for a client-side call. So insert, I performed it as a server-side call, but update, I performed it as a client-side call using jQuery. Requirement, we cannot say this is right or that is right. Requirement based, we'll go for a server-side calls, client-side calls. So what I shown you client-side calling now, tomorrow I'll show you server-side calling. So once we look at the server-side calling, we are done with APIs and MVC 5. And from Friday, we'll start with MVC core. Okay, let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow.